This is fantastic. And because it's fantastic, what do we do when we're in an experience that's going to be fantastic? We have to take a selfie, right? Luckily for me, I'm prepared. Okay, I'm serious now. When I say 3, we're all going to say cheese. Are you ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3, cheese. Nice. This is absolutely going on Facebook and Instagram as soon as I'm off stage. #TEDxEustis. Just saying. Do you guys remember the first time that you ever logged onto a social media account? I remember mine. It was January 1st, 2009. And I will never forget it because my kids were off playing with their still new Christmas toys. My husband was comfortably watching football on TV. And I thought, I'm going to see what this Facebook thing is all about that I've been hearing so much about. I went onto the Facebook website. I entered my email address. I answered a few questions. Where were you born? Where did you go to high school? Who are you married to? And then a few seconds later, something magical happened. Pictures of people that I knew started popping up onto my screen. I saw Mitch, who was a guy I graduated from high school with, and we sat together in AP Spanish. I hadn't thought of him in years. And then there was Rodney. Oh, Rodney. He was my 7th grade science partner, and I'll never forget him because he wanted to see me squirm, so he made me make the first cut on the frog that we were dissecting. I took the scalpel, I put it on the frog, I turned my head, and I sliced Rodney's finger. Hopefully he had forgiven me by then. Pictures and profiles of people from my distant past kept dancing across my screen. People who I had once called friends, but had long since been disconnected from. And here they were, right in front of me. And this technology was allowing me to peek right into their lives. And for someone who had moved so many times and lost count of more people than I can imagine, this technology was life-changing. Never again would I have to wonder, I wonder what happened to so-and-so. Instead, I could connect with the entire world right on my computer. I thought social media is amazing. 10 years later, I still think that social media is amazing. Think about it. Not only now can we connect with our old friends like our Mitches and our Rodneys, but we can make new friends. And for people who are very introverted or have a difficult time making friends, social media has opened up a whole new world. And it's also helped us to connect with the weirdos like us. Now, whether you're on Instagram and you like to follow hashtags, something like, Project Empty Chairs, where you just look at a bunch of pictures of empty chairs, or maybe you're one of the 900,000 subscribers to a YouTube channel called Ask a Mortician, or perhaps you're part of an interesting group on Facebook, like maybe the one in Japan that they meet once a month to clean public toilets. Yeah, those are real. Whatever you're into, social media has the group for you, and it allows us to connect with each other. But it doesn't even stop there, does it? It helps us with our businesses too. Because of social media, we can grow our networks and we can expand our influences beyond the traditional boundaries. I think that we can all agree that social media has enhanced our lives in so many, many ways. But as great as social media is, we also have to admit that the relationships that we create online are vastly different than the ones that we create in real life, right? So today, I want to share some tips with you on how to get the very most out of your relationships on social media. Because I want you to stay out of the trap that many people find themselves in, which is to have a very long list of friends and followers, but very few of the benefits of friendship. So let's start with some numbers. I promise there's not going to be a test afterwards. But I want you to think about how many relationships that you think you can successfully maintain at one time. I'll give you a second. Get a number in there. If it's close to 150, then you're on track. Dr. Robin Dunbar is an evolutionary anthropologist and has done work in this area and estimates that we can handle or maintain about 150 relationships. Now, that may seem like a lot to some of you, and it may seem like a few to others, but 150 relationships includes our casual friendships as well as just our acquaintances. So it's all of the total relationships that we can handle. Now, just for perspective, the average Facebook user has 338 friends on their list. And if you add Instagram on there, the average number of Instagram followers is 150. As you can see, we have quickly maxed out our number of relationships we're able to handle just on social media. But the websites already know this, so they've created algorithms to help you handle all of these different types of relationships. In other words, they decide who you're going to see posts from in your social media feeds. Now, if we're actually trying to get the most out of our social media relationships, then the first thing that we have to do is hack this algorithm. And we have to learn to shape our social media feeds so that we are getting the posts from the people that we want to see. How do we do that? Well, it was a mystery to me at first. I remember when Rodney did accept my friend request. He had forgiven me for the sliced finger, apparently. I was so excited to see what he was up to. I got to see his children, where he worked, his life, and it was a part of his life for about a week. And then he seemed to disappear, and I never saw him again, unless I went looking for him purposefully. And the reason that happened was because I wasn't interacting with him. And because I wasn't interacting with him, the almighty algorithm decided maybe I didn't like Rodney so much, and he disappeared from my feed. So in order to shape our feeds so that we get to interact with the people who we really want to, we need to consciously and purposefully start interacting with people. That way, we're going to get to see what's going on in their life. The good news about these algorithms is that if somebody that you may be okay not seeing on your feed, if you have somebody like that, you can follow your mom's wise advice. Ignore them, and eventually they will go away. Now, once we finally shaped our social media feed to where we want it to be, the next challenge we have is communication. For some reason, when we get onto our social media, we forget how to communicate with each other, with other human beings. We think that is okay, and that's an acceptable way to communicate something. It's not. So to keep people that you like in your social media feed, this communication aspect is really important. Look, we have all been at a dinner party or somewhere with somebody who just drones on and on and on about themselves all the time. And in real life, we can kind of stop that, can't we? We give them all kinds of nonverbal cues saying, all right, I've had enough of this. And eventually they will get the message. But that's not the case on social media. We don't get to see each other. So we have to kind of regulate ourselves and make sure that we follow the first rule of conversation, not to talk all about ourselves all the time, because it's easy to do on social media. But the second rule, I think, is even more important and one that I would like to expand on a little bit more, and that's to learn how to become a very good listener on social media. Because it's easy to get upset or offended because we do not get to see each other and we don't get to read those nonverbal cues that are so important to us as humans. All we get to see is text. And when we see that text, or maybe a picture, but that's still not the same. But when we see it, we are reading our own emotions. and her own tone into that text. And it can create a lot of misunderstanding. And I know if you're on social media at all, you've had that experience to where you say something and someone misinterpreted it. And then it ends up being this back and forth as to what you really did mean. So to be a good listener on social media, just read the text. Try not to put your own emotions and tone into it. And if you are questioning whether or not this person is sincere, then ask. Create the conversation. Don't just get offended or upset and end the friendship. Let's be humans. That's how we're going to get the most out of those relationships. Now, the third part, the third tip that I'm going to give you today is a little bit more challenging, but I think it's worth it. To get the very most out of your social media relationships, let's recognize that they're real human relationships, and let's take them offline. Now, I am not telling you that you need to meet with a group of people somewhere and clean public toilets, okay? We don't need to take it offline in that way. But some of my most valuable professional relationships have started online and became so much stronger over a cup of coffee. Being able to see each other is just part of our human communication and how we build relationships. Don't be afraid to take things offline. Now, when we're talking about social media, let's get real. Not everybody is in the same time zone, right? It's kind of hard to get a cup of coffee with someone from Malaysia. So what I suggest is that you use the amazing technology that we have to schedule video chats. The important thing is to get that face-to-face interaction, because it doesn't matter how many emojis that these technology platforms come up with, not one of them will create in you the feeling that you get when someone gives you a very warm smile. That can only be done face-to-face. So, to get the most out of our social media relationships, we're going to control our social media. And don't you think that that's important? Because after all, we only have 150 spots. And those are very precious spots to fill. And we should be the ones who decide who occupies those spots, and not some random computer algorithm. Now, if you're like me, you were pretty disappointed that you couldn't connect with the whole world, and now I'm here telling you only have 150 spots. But it's so critical that we recognize that the relationships that we have on social media are also part of that 150. It makes you think of social media a little bit differently, doesn't it? It's not about accumulating a bunch of friends, but really creating the quality that we want. Now, I know that there are some people in this room who could care less about social media, who have never been on it and swear it off. And that's okay. You don't have to be part of the social media craze. It's completely fine. However, don't you think that it's really fantastic that if you did decide to connect with your old friends, with your Mitches and your Rodneys, then there is a place for you to go. You see, social media fills a need in us that is so deep as humans, for us to connect with each other and to share experiences together. And that's the important thing. And my friends, I am so happy that I've gotten to share this experience with you today, but I'm going to be honest with you, I am super happy that I'm going to be able to share this experience with my friends all over the world because they couldn't be here. You can share this experience with me on Facebook too at #TEDxEustis. Thank you.